Hey, welcome to my runcast. I'm off-roading it slightly at the lake. It's very pretty. I'm getting off the path because I don't want to be that asshole who's like filming myself while people are just trying to do their evening walk, but I'm gonna end up doing that anyway. I'm just trying to stay off for a little bit. I had a really good day today. The first thing I did was I did the voiceover for the next Muay Thai library session. Hi, honey. It's Wang Chinoy. We have Wang Chinoy in the Muay Thai library, and this is the 4th time we've put him in there. He's fucking incredible. Like, his style is so deep, and like the things that he works with me on are always kind of like building on these kind of strategies and strengths and techniques and rhythms. I feel like his rhythm is really this kind of primary thing that he's working on. So I got really stoked. Like, I was really inspired by voicing over this session, and like kind of I got a lot more out of it in the voiceover than I did even actually just standing there working with him. So I'm pretty stoked about it. And the 2 of the guys at my gym in the afternoon are fighting Kartchuk soon, and neither of them have fought Kartchuk before. And I was like, fuck, this session with Wang Chinoy is like perfect. It's just like perfect for explaining how they should fight when wearing no gloves. And I'm trying to like figure out whether I can just like take the first segment and like explain it and show it a little bit and like immediately put it to practice, or whether it's too close to the fight and I should leave it alone or something. But I was really inspired and I was working on it. And then a little bit later in the day, a colleague called me, and this is someone who has tons of experience, like very experienced fighter, but hasn't fought in a long time. And so they're really nervous about fighting again, which is actually like something that I reassured them of, is that even if you'd had like the perfect training, like even if you'd just fought, you know, last month and won, whatever, you'd still be nervous getting into the ring. Like, I just, in my last fight, I hadn't fought for, I think, February, March, April, May, 3 months I hadn't fought, and I was so unbelievably nervous. 3 months, that's not that long, but for what I like to do, I like to fight frequently, so that it's just like you kind of like don't put too much emphasis on each one of the fights. It felt like forever. It felt really hard. But so this conversation that I was having got me thinking about my last fight and kind of the mental preparation for fights, and what I like to do has been a complete fucking trial and error situation, and it's definitely still an ongoing learning process. Like, I don't feel like I'm like, I've got this down or anything like that. But something that I noticed leading into this fight, because 1, I was coming off of a loss, so that always kind of affects you. And then 2, I just put a lot of pressure on myself for this fight. It was a rematch, my last fight, so it's like when you've beat someone before and then they're like confident enough that they want to rematch you, they want to fight you again, it kind of, even though you already beat them, it kind of has this like, why are they so confident that they want to rematch me? I want to rematch people all the time. If I lose to someone, I'm like, I want to fight that bitch again. So it's like, I shouldn't actually take it as being anything different from me wanting to rematch someone. But it like got in my head that this very much bigger than me opponent wanted to rematch me. And you know, that can be like a source of confidence. It's like, oh, well, I kind of didn't know what I was up against, but I have this size, I can solve that, I'm gonna get in there. And so I kind of had this nervousness of like, can she? Like, can she just solve that? And when I was kind of noting my mental process of getting ready really close to the fight, so I stopped training earlier, not like fully stopped, but like tapered my training earlier than I normally do. And I don't know if I'll do that again, but I think it was a good thing for this one. So I stopped sparring every day with Yod Kunpan a full week out. I continued my other training. I stopped running on Tuesday, and my fight was on Saturday, so that's like way before my fight that I'm kind of paring things down. But I continued to, you know, do pad work and shadow and clinch and stuff like that all the way up until Wednesday, and we drove on Friday. So I kind of had this like tapering thing, but as I was tapering, and normally sparring is the thing that I hook my brain onto as being the thing that's telling me whether I'm like ready or not, I didn't have that because I stopped sparring on Saturday, so I couldn't use that as my like, oh my god, I suck, I'm so terrible, which is what I normally would use as my like mental crutch to tell myself how terrible I am. And instead, I was telling Kevin, I'm like, normally I have this confidence that's like, no matter what's going on, no matter how shitty my training is, no matter what hurts, whatever the thing is, if I needed to get into the ring right now, today, I could do that. Like, that's a confidence that I have. And I actually didn't feel that. Leading into this fight, I was like, I am so unbelievably exhausted. I don't understand why I'm so tired. Like, it felt like it was a hormonal thing, or it was like something felt off. I was just really zonked on it. And I didn't have that confidence of like, I could just get in the ring right now and fight and feel confident that I could like pull anything out, which is a confidence that I normally have. So that was a little bit rough to be running into. And then we drive up on Friday. It's a big long drive to get into Buriram. But we get there in the evening, and then I have a whole 24 hours to the next day and then some, because my fight was at like 10:30 p.m. or something like that. So I have this unbelievable amount of downtime, of like doing nothing time. People who are not that experienced, they worry about how hard they're training leading into a fight because they're so tired. And in Thailand, they will train you hard right up until like 2 days before your fight. I promise you, the 2 days you have before your fight, making weight or weigh-in or whatever the fucking thing is, you fight at night. The amount of time you have between when you stop training and when you actually fight, even when you're fighting right up or training right up to your fight, it feels like forever because you're not used to this. You're used to training twice a day, and now you have unbelievable amount of time. Like, you will not believe how much time that is. I had so much time driving up and resting and just staying in the hotel room with Kevin before my fight. It was like, this is a lot of time to just be sitting and thinking and like just being with my brain kind of thing, which is like not my favorite. And before my fight, like the day of my fight at maybe like 6 p.m. or something, and like I knew I wasn't going to be in the ring until probably 11, 12. Like, it ended up being faster than I thought, but I thought I was going to be fighting quite late. At 6, I was starting to get like really nervous. Getting nervous is normal. Like, getting nervous is good. It's your body's way of preparing yourself for action. So if you're nervous before your fight, that's a good thing. That's a very, very normal thing. But you need to understand how to regulate that energy. I always say you want it to be going out. You don't want to be like holding it in. One of the ways you hold it in is by being ashamed of it, or by thinking that there's something wrong with you for being nervous. And so you don't want to tell anyone, or you think that it's a sign that like you're terrible and you're going to be terrified in the ring and you're going to forget Muay Thai. That's not what nervousness means. Nervousness is literally your body preparing you, so you don't need to worry about that kind of thing. But the way to keep the energy going out is you're like, okay, very nervous. If you were very nervous before getting on a plane, very nervous before meeting a date for the first time, very nervous before talking to your dad about something that you don't want to talk to him about, you're going to do that thing and it's going to be fine, but you just have to kind of like, okay, here we go. Like, what do you do to prepare yourself to like step onto the plane or whatever the thing is? That's what you do with the nervousness before a fight, is you just kind of like breathe through it. When I was getting nervous at like 6, which is something that happens, getting nervous before a fight, I know to be a good thing. What I was feeling is like, I want this energy, I want this nervousness, but I don't want it now, because this is just way too early to be feeling this. So I had to be like, okay, not now, and like breathe it out and let it go and be like, all right, I don't need this right now. That kind of nervousness that I was feeling, I do want that, maybe walking to the ring or even getting into the ring. Like, I want it really, really close to the fight, because then you can use that energy in the fight. The nervousness becomes kind of a, what is the word I'm thinking of? Adrenaline kind of thing. If you try to hold it in, if you think there's something wrong with you and you're like, I can't show anyone that I'm nervous, it becomes like a Iron Maiden, like all the spikes going in on you, and it's really not good. And that's how you can kind of end up with adrenaline dumps, is that you've just been like redlining for a really long time, and then it's just go time and you've like been nervous for hours and hours and hours, and it's really not good. And you want to kind of maintain that. So I was calming myself down, because it was like, this is too early to be feeling this. I want these nerves, but I don't want them now. It's too early. Calm it down. And then when I actually got to the event, it was a little bit chaotic. Like, my corner was very nervous. My corner was running around. All these things were happening. And I was like, that's not my problem. Like, I don't have to be nervous that he's nervous, because that's not actually my issue. So I was very calm, which was nice. Lots of things can happen getting ready for a fight that do make you really nervous. Like, I can remember in my career, my opponent's not there and I'm like next up. And so you're like incredibly like, oh my God, well, what's gonna happen? What do I do? Is my fight canceled? Do I like get out of this? I don't have to fight anymore? Or do I have to like fight someone else that I don't know? Like, it's very nerve-wracking. And so you have this like up, down going into fights necessarily, just because they're kind of chaotic situations. So learning how to regulate that is really important. And then when it was go time, I was like, I don't want to be this chill, because I've been calming myself down for hours leading up to the fight. But now it's go time. So the way that I got myself ramped back up to meet the energy of the fight was breathing, like the opposite of like chill out breathing. So like Wim Hof type breathing, where you're like, like getting your energy up. I was squeezing my fists to like tense my muscles and relax my muscles, so that I could kind of get used to, if I feel tension in the fight, I can be like, oh, relax that. This is also a way to fall asleep. If you guys have ever heard about this, it's like tensing your muscles a lot and then relaxing them to train yourself to like, that's how I relax that muscle. So doing this before a fight is actually really good, because you can like tense everything up, wake everything up, and then release it. And then you're kind of preparing yourself to be able to release any of those muscles that you need to in the fight if you're overly tense. So those are the ways that I was kind of like building my energy back up for when I needed it actually getting in the ring. I was very happy as I was driving to the gym this afternoon, because I thought of this video that I'd seen, and I'm like, this video is actually the perfect illustration of what mental preparation for a fight should and shouldn't be. The same video shows what it should and shouldn't be. It's so brilliant. I'm gonna tack it on in here, but I saw it on Instagram. Apparently it's from TikTok, but it's like, there's a bunch of these, like people use the sound and they make their own video. And it's basically living in a house with multiple dogs, and you get up to go to the bathroom. And so you get up and the dogs are all sleeping, and you stand up, and the sound is all these different voices that are like, oh fuck yeah, man, I'm so down, like on to battle, here we go. Like your dogs are just so excited. They're just down for whatever it is that you're gonna do. And you're like, I'm just going to the bathroom. Like, oh man, I'm just going to the bathroom. And then you get to the bathroom and you close the door, and the dogs are like, what? This is not what I thought was happening.
Where are we fucking going? I'm so fucking down. Let's do this.
I'm just going to the toilet.
To battle!
No, not to battle, to shit.
Oh, lead the way on an adventure it is, isn't it?
Not an adventure.
On a voyage, my liege. Lead the way, Alpha.
I want to go to the other room on
I'll
my
grab
own.
my leash. I'll grab my leash. Let's do this.
Stay here.
Let's
Just
do
stay.
this.
Stay.
Oh, let us get going.
Stay.
I'm a van.
Stay.
Where are you going? Hey! Hey!
The thing is, the dogs are the perfect fight mental preparation, because they will just go back to sleep because nothing's happening. So it's not actually time to go take a walk. It's not time to go into battle. It's not time to whatever. They're all just going to actually curl up and go back to sleep in various spots around the floor. If you've owned dogs that like, there's a sound outside and they go absolutely apeshit, barking crazy, they like go to a 10 and then it's nothing, and they literally just lay back down and go right back to sleep. This is how you need to be preparing for a fight. You don't have to reach that 10, but like your energy might come up, you might become really nervous, and then you just need to bring it back down because it's not time to fight. Like now is not the time, so you just bring it back down. But you need to be able to, when it's time, pump it right back up and be ready to go at that moment. You don't want to have a like long getting ready, getting your like charge back up process. You want it to be like pop, pop, pop. The way this video illustrates what bad preparation is if those dogs are your hype man, this is a bad situation. And this is something that I think people who have friends or teammates or whatever, this is something you need to kind of worry about. And this is something that I think about with this colleague I was talking to about their fight coming up, is that they probably have a lot of hype men and people who are like, oh man, you're gonna be so awesome, you're gonna be so badass. And people who aren't fighting, and they're very well intentioned, they might be your teammates, they might just be friends, they might not be people who know fighting on a personal basis, they might just be fans. They really, like, they're excited and they want to pump the energy up and they want to be like, oh man, you're so down, you're so badass. They're like that dog. They're like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I'm so down. You don't want to be in that energy for an incredibly long amount of time because it's draining. So if you have people pumping you up days or hours before your fight, this is actually fucking exhausting. So you have to be like the guy in the video who's actually just getting up to go to the bathroom, where he's not going into this like chaos mode because the dogs are in the chaos mode. He's like, dude, I'm just trying to go to the bathroom. So if you have hype men who are like freaking out and are like, oh my god, man, you're so badass, you're gonna kick his ass, it's gonna be fucking amazing, all this stuff, you have to be like the guy in the video who's like, I'm just going to the bathroom. Like, I'm just going to the bathroom. But then when it's time for you to go, you become those dogs and you can let your hype men pump you up. But it needs to be really, really close to your fight. Like, I'm an introvert, so for me that energy is really high. So for me, I really don't want it until I'm actually literally walking to or in the ring. I don't want to be anywhere near that kind of hype until I'm like ready to go. There might be people who can handle it a little bit better. They might want it 10 minutes before, 20 minutes before. I don't know, people in the West who like hit pads backstage before you fight. I didn't really fight in the West, so I don't really have a lot of experience with this. That probably is like getting your energy up. For marathoners and sprinters and stuff, I think they tell you to like do a full, like really get your heart rate up and then bring it back down like 10 minutes before you actually start a race to kind of like get control of that heart rate kind of thing. So 10 minutes, I'm guessing, 10 minutes before your fight or an event is when I would say is probably an okay time or a good time to get that like hype man thing going. For me, already in the ring, I don't want it even 10 minutes before. But this is my advice, and this is what I think this video perfectly illustrates the mentality of a fighter getting ready for a fight. If you're the fighter, be the dogs. If you are not fighting, don't be those dogs, because you need the fighter to be on their way into the ring before their energy really gets that high. It's just too early to be doing that hours and days before a fight. And if you're the fighter and you have hype men who are being those dogs, be like the guy in the video who's like, I'm just going to the bathroom. Like, I'm just going to start shadow boxing, just warming up a little bit. We don't need to get the hype on until a good, 10 minutes before, or like, the robe is going on and you're walking to the ring, music is starting and you're walking to the ring, or you're just fucking literally on the ring is where I would want it. Sao Sing has this incredible, like, stage performance energy. I don't think she could do that energy that she has in the ring outside of the ring. Like, I feel like it would be exhausting for her to be that way out of the ring. It was crazy because we went to see her fight on International Muay Thai Day, which is in February, and it's in Bangkok, and she was totally like with her husband on the mat getting ready. Ajahn Sarat came, who has been her father figure forever. So she went, she hugged him, she's so excited. Just like kind of nice energy. Sao Sing has a lot of experience. Like, she has a lot of fight experience. Her opponent was this Western woman who came over and just like walked by the mat and just like looked at her. I don't think she even said anything. She just came near the mat, and I could see this like confidence that Sao Sing has start to fold. It was like she just hated that this girl kind of like invaded in on her space. And I was amazed, because to me, Sao Sing's a very confident person. And I think for some people who have been raised a certain way, we conflate confidence with arrogance. They're different words for a reason, and they're very different things. And I am one of these people who, the way I was raised, the kind of way that I saw the world growing up, all these things, I thought confidence was arrogance. And so I'm like, you can't express confidence because it's ugly. But really, that's arrogance. Confidence can be expressed in a lot of different ways. And Sao Sing is one of these very beautiful women who expresses confidence in a quiet, really like true, that is solid way. I remember I went and I interviewed her at her gym. And Sao Sing and I are sisters in that, like, we've both been cut a lot. And as female fighters, when you get cut at all, but then a lot, it becomes a thing, and people like kind of fucking talk down to you about it, make a big thing about it, and like, oh, your face, like your husband, whatever. Sao Sing, her confidence, when I was asking her about this, she had this totally level, calm. She was just like, why would I be embarrassed about that? I'm not embarrassed about that. I'm a fighter. Why would I be embarrassed about that? Like, fucking total confidence. This is the confidence I'm talking about. That is her true, natural, balanced confidence. And I saw that be shaken when this opponent came and just kind of like walked by her mat. However, when Sao Sing gets in the ring, she becomes this entirely other form of confidence. It's still not arrogance, but it is very performative. She's performing a confidence that is not her like natural confidence. She like will land on top of her opponent and look directly into Kevin's camera and smile, like as she's on her opponent. In the corner, right before she like goes back into the ring, she'll like spit her water into the air and scream, or she'll do this like like just amazing practiced stuff. I don't know where it comes from. It's amazing. She's just fucking incredible. And this is something that she does to hype herself in the ring. And again, you only see it in the ring. She's not like this outside of the ring. She's not like this walking around, like strutting around before the fight. She has her real calm confidence before, and it's really beautiful. And then she has her stage confidence, which is very performative when she's actually in the ring. And I don't think that you would want to pull that ring one out, because it would be too tiring. It would be literally exhausting to live that way outside. And I don't really know her opponent, who she fought in that fight, on a personal level, but the way that she came over and looked at Sao Sing in this kind of like intimidating way, or whatever the thing was, I don't know if that was her intention, but that's a little bit of that like ring performance confidence outside of the ring that did not work before the I mean, it worked before the fight to intimidate Sao Sing, but it did not work in the ring. It's a separate thing. It's a different thing. And kind of being able to separate those and control those is something I'm not necessarily really good at yet, but I think is a really, really cool thing. And something that people in general, if they have these different personas and can access them, that's a brilliant thing to be able to control. But understanding the timing of it, and like the exercise, you know, like with muscles or your heart, if you want good cardio, what you're doing with your heart is you're pushing it really hard and then you're calming it back down. With muscles, you're making them work really hard, lift really heavy, like tear, and then you let them come back down and recover. They have to contract back up. You have to stretch them. You have to do all these different things. That's the same thing with your energy leading into a fight. You need to be able to understand, it's too high, I'm going to pull it down a little bit. It's too low, I'm going to pull it up a little bit, this kind of thing. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that. And I have to go back up there and start running, because this road is actually starting to get a little bit creepy being alone. But look at how absolutely gorgeous this is. Wow. Much prettier than my run home is normally, but it's a loop.